Now we will go on with the presentation so that you can get to know a little bit about Project ECHO, then ECHO Autism. There are 2 short videos and also about us.
In the world today, millions of patients are dying of diseases we know how to prevent and cure. Project ECHO is a new model to democratize access to best practice care all over the world. Our goal is to exponentially scale our ability to help the most marginalized communities. It has been estimated that medical knowledge is doubling every 3.5 years, and it's very difficult for a rural clinician, nurses, community health workers in low-income countries to keep up with this knowledge. And so we use the power of the internet where we could mentor rural clinicians, many at a time, in which they present cases to each other and to us and learn from each other as well as learn from the experts. And over time, the capacity to treat even complex diseases had gone up more than 10 times.
The first case will be presented by Dr. Kanita.
Experts in 41 countries have adopted the ECHO model, running 900 separate knowledge networks to democratize their expert knowledge and have helped millions of patients who otherwise wouldn't have access to specialty care. When a rural clinician participates in the ECHO model, they can provide the same level of care, as safe and effective as teams of experts at universities. The social justice and equity have been the fundamental pillars on which the ECHO model was created. It is the reason why we created it, because we saw massive inequity in the world, and ECHO is designed to overcome that in every significant way that we know of. In most parts of the world, knowledge is money, knowledge is power, knowledge is fame, and expert knowledge is monopolized in the heads of a few people. We want to change the world. We want to change the way we think of this knowledge, that the role of an expert is to use something like the ECHO model to democratize that knowledge and mentor other people to be as good as them. We need to scale this up so that every citizen of the world can benefit from this new idea.
Wonderful. That was Dr. Arora. He's been a great inspiration for all of us. And we are truly honored that we actually are trying to walk in his shoes and follow his footsteps. So the next slide, actually you will be seeing Christen Soul, Dr. Christen Soul, talking about, yes, her practice. And I just wanted to emphasize that by 2025, Project ECHO plans to touch 1 billion lives. And with the rate that it's going and the impact of COVID, the work with COVID that they're doing, I'm pretty sure that they will reach this goal. Thank you. Sylvana, you may go ahead.
With the rising prevalence of autism and the great numbers of people concerned that their child may have something going on that's different developmentally for them, we really were having a hard time keeping up here at the Thompson Center, and then really across the whole country. Centers like ours couldn't keep up with the number of patients and families that needed their questions answered. So when I started thinking about how can we change this, I started thinking that the key was in providing more mentorship and support to pediatricians, not giving them lectures and, you know, one-day seminars or things like that, but in really coming alongside them to support the care that they already provide, so that they can do that even better, so families could get access to what they need right when they need it. So when I learned about a program called ECHO, or Project ECHO, through the Missouri Telehealth Network, I was immediately intrigued as, could this be an accelerator to what we were doing? Could this be the way that we could both innovate around expansion of training and capacity, but also be able to do it with such a scarce amount of resources? ECHO Autism launched its first clinic in March of 2015. We had about 15 to 18 providers that were with us, and we mentored and coached them through their cases. By the end of 2017, we had reached many hundreds of primary care providers through all of our partners that have decided to take on the ECHO Autism framework and apply it to their own areas. We know that families are experiencing major challenges getting their children the care that they need right where they live. So we think ECHO is the answer to being able to deliver expertise, but not making families travel. We like to think about it as moving knowledge, not patients. So an autism-ready community provides the type of care that a family needs, no matter what type of care that is, whether it's education, medical, therapy. That's what an autism-ready community means. And through ECHO, we're actually making those systems count.
Wonderful. Yes, a picture says 1,000 words, right? And what a better way to introduce someone than through video. So yes, thank you for the next slide, Sylvana. It's Lake Ohrid, and this is one of the most beautiful churches from the 14th century. This is someone who is the most prominent disciple of Cyril and Methodius. They're the founders of the Glagolitic alphabet. So basically, they devised the alphabet of the Slavic people so we can become literate and we can use our language. Clement was expelled from Moravia, a region where the ancient Slavs used to live. He was jailed and tortured for his perseverance to spread literacy after the death of Cyril and Methodius. And he adapted the alphabet to the needs of the local Slavic people. And we did not put the picture of Ohrid by accident because he actually was sent and managed to get to Ohrid in North Macedonia today, but then it used to be part of the Bulgarian Empire and started spreading the literacy there. And his vision and his motto was to work until the last day of his life and to devote his life to basically share this literacy among the Slavic people. He founded the first Slavic university in the 9th century. So we're proud to say that the Slavic literacy originated from Macedonia in the 9th century for the majority of the Slavic people today. And in 7 years, he taught 3,500 students in the language. And this is the reason why we, the Serbs, the Croatians, the Czechs, the Slovaks have an alphabet today. Next slide, please. This is his final resting place. It was reconstructed. It overlooks beautiful Lake Ohrid. And this is the Church of Saint Panteleimon, or the temple. He was buried there. This was his last final resting place. Next slide, please. And I'm sure that a lot of you know, of course, this is Mother Teresa. This is the center, actually the memorial house is in the center of Skopje, and it was decided that it should be built here just because then Agnese Gonja Boyajiu, which was the first name of Mother Teresa, was baptized in the Sacred Heart of Jesus. This was a Roman Catholic church that existed on this particular place, but was ruined by the devastating Skopje earthquake. So she left Skopje when she was 18, went to Ireland, and then actually her ending destination was India. And she founded Missionaries of Charity, and the charity nowadays, her charity in India has over 4,500 nuns, and it's active in 133 countries. And what better of a picture than to have one with Mother Teresa and the children, which is so appropriate to the work we do. So next slide, please. Gandhi, again. Gandhi actually is an example, and somebody who quotes him quite often is Dr. Arora, the founder of Project ECHO himself. And this picture that you see in the lower left corner is actually a picture from a documentary, a short documentary about Dr. Arora. But Gandhi's words are used here. And he said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. So we're very honored to have also a great inspiration. And of course, yes, this is the man who we look up to today. Dr. Sanjeev Arora created Project ECHO, and he was a great visionary. He did this completely on his own will with just himself and his laptop in his office, trying to reach people, educate providers in very rural and remote areas of New Mexico, just because he wanted to make sure that he wanted to deliver the right knowledge at the right place at the right time. So he's the creator of All Teach, All Learn model and the knowledge sharing by which he actually was and spread his knowledge from, yes, rural New Mexico, now actually in many corners of the world. Next slide, please. This is some statistics recently. So Project ECHO has partners in 53 countries. It has 480 local hubs, just like ours, and over 920 ECHO programs. So this is a statistic that you can actually watch, and you can see this directly from the Project ECHO website. Next slide, please. Our history, yes, our history. Love. History begins in 2014. Next slide, please. How did we start? We started collaborating with Dr. Bauer, and actually I got to know Dr. Bauer almost at the same time when I got to know Sylvana, Dr. Sylvana, and we had wonderful 2 years of collaboration with the Macedonian Academy of Arts and Sciences. So in the right corner is the picture from the Academy where we are at now, currently actually, and also the picture down is a portrait of the center of Skopje. Next slide, please. Yes, Dr. Bob Backendorf left a heavy heart with us. He's a clinician, author, and a giant in the field of speech and language pathology. This beautiful picture was taken when he had his first presentation in here, basically at the Macedonian Arts and Societies, and he tragically died all of a sudden in 2016 and left us too early, but left a legacy. And I and Sarah decided together with Sylvana to carry on his mission and create something like what we actually did today and what we became part of, luckily. Next slide, please. So yes, this is the Congress. It was a huge success, wonderful presenters from the US and presentation in the Macedonian Arts, yes, and Sciences building. And yes, the 2 partners in crime, actually the 3, the 4, the more. This is Sarah and Mary together, a picture in Chicago. But next slide, please. Our actually really mission and vision started with Christen, Alicia, Robin, with your team, Valeria, really. This is how it all started, and this is where it started. Next slide, please. This is Dr. Christen's wonderful team. We cannot thank them enough, how much we have learned throughout this time, these past 2.5 years. Next slide, please. This is actually my very lucky day when I got to New Mexico, and I was present at the immersion training, which unfortunately happened to be the last immersion training before the COVID. And this is where, by, yes, like some universal powers coincidence, Vale and I got to meet each other. Sarah introduced us to each other. This was not planned, but there was an immediate click, and this is how it all started, and it continued. So we were at the same training, and what we wanted to do, Vale at the time had already started sharing and actually creating programs, ECHO autism programs throughout South America. So already she is, no wonder she's the director of global development. But what we want to do is basically learn from the world community and give back. This is our mission. Next slide, please. And again, we must proudly say that we launched 70 Svetový ECHO Autism. We are proudly to say the first official ECHO Autism Hub in Europe, with many more to come. This is us. You've seen us already. Next slide, please. What we do is, and we're planning to, we connect expert specialty teams at academic and university medical centers from the US, North Macedonia, from all over the world. We're based with these virtual teleclinics, and we connect you with also different providers, but we also teach you to best and evidence-based practices. Developmental pediatricians are part of this, child psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, dietitians, parent advocates, parents, educators, resource coordinators. So it's really a great resource. Next slide, please. It's a learning loop. Dr. Sol will tell you a little bit about this, few words. Next slide, please. What are our results? What do we want to actually, and what has proven to work with this evidence-based practice that is actually with Project ECHO is ongoing for the past 18 years. So we have shown that the medical costs have been reduced significantly and people are getting better care and lives are being saved across the globe. Next slide, please. Yes, our goal is to get local access to high quality care and education for children with autism and developmental disabilities in North Macedonia. Next slide, please. Yes. Again, the educational status of an individual is a better predictor of their health than their status. These are the words of Dr. Sanjeev, and it's so true. Next slide, please. And finally, where does 70 flowers come from? Well, I must say that I will dedicate this in honor to our grandfather, Wojciech Nauczyński, who was a Macedonian poet, and he wrote poetry for children. 70 Cvetovi is the book, which actually I took a picture of from my home library. He was awarded with the Lifetime Achievement Award and also a couple of other awards also for this book. Children adored him. He went to the day of his death practically to every single school or community across the country that would invite him. So it's true when we say that this cartoon, which was created, is really a bubble of love. You see a child blowing a bubble, and that's my grandfather's face, basically. So he was adored by children, and children adored. Next slide, please. So with this, we want to conclude that, yes, every child is different, and they're different children, like the children especially that we see, but they all together make this world a beautiful garden. Next slide, please. This is just call for action. These are our details, and this is how you can reach us, but you will be receiving emails from us to remind you of our next meeting in January. So we hope to see you then.